Welcome to E360 TV, the live streaming and on-demand destination for influential voices and enlightened audiences. We offer trending, grassroots, and purpose-driven content across a diverse range of interests. E360 TV is more than just watching programs. We offer the ability to interact with live shows connecting audiences to real, authentic influencers and storytellers while streaming to millions of devices. Real experiences. Raw conversations. One destination for it all. E360 TV.
All right, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Courageous Men Winning Weekend. I know you all are very excited. Listen, if you don't know anybody that's watching this right now, you need to share this broadcast. Share it to every single platform that you know of, because it is time for us, it's time for the world to hear from courageous black men. I am your host, and my name is Dexter Scott. This is the launch of the highly anticipated book, The Heart of the Black Man: Stories of Triumph and Resilience. Now, let me tell you very quickly about myself, the host. I'm the co owner of a company called The Upgraders. We're personal and professional development experts. I'm an author, I'm a speaker, I'm a coach, I'm a trainer. Listen, you guys, you're in for a treat, because this book, you are a part of history. This book is going to change the fabric of the planet, and you're going to hear from some amazing people as they're going to share with you on this evening. Now, let me tell you a little bit about the book. The Heart of the Black Man includes 30 contributors, all amazing men from all across the world, places like London, Jamaica, the Bahamas. I hope you guys are ready. Your life is about to change, simply because a lot of people haven't heard the stories of black men. But guess what? You're going to hear them tonight. So I'm going to read something to you. I want you guys to really pay attention to what this actually means. Allow it to go into your listening. Listen to this. The Heart of a Black Man: Inspirational Stories of Triumph and Resilience is a compelling anthology of stories that provides a resounding voice to the experiences of black men who have faced significant adversity. Throughout history, systematic injustices, racism, and discrimination have resulted in a range of obstacles that have impacted the lives of well being and black men. The Heart of the Black Man offers a message of hope and empowerment, and shares the personal stories of resilience, perseverance, and triumph of black men from the United States and international cities, including London, Jamaica, and the Bahamas. Readers can get an insight into the struggles and victories that have shaped the lives of black men. Anyone seeking to get a deeper understanding of the experiences of black men and the strength that resides within their hearts should read this book. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, you've been seeing the link floating around out there about purchasing this book. If I were you, I would make sure I purchased that book ASAP. The digital copy is only $2.99. You need to go get it, because it's going to be a precursor to what you're going to actually find out about these amazing men. So now I want to bring some people up on the camera that has been instrumental into making this project happen. So I'm going to introduce to you Dr. Diana Maria. Dr. Maria, are you there?
I'm
All right.
here.
So, oh, awesome, awesome. So now, guys, let me read a little bit about this awesome young lady that you're looking at right now. Dr. Maria is the editorial manager of Courageous Men and Women magazines. She is also a published cover model, Amazon #1 best-selling author, IFBB Bikini Pro, motivational speaker, health and wellness expert, an innovative med spa owner in downtown Dallas. This is a lot, guys. She's been doing a lot, right? She's the owner of DM Wellness, which is an all-natural product line. Dr. Maria is a single mom to a 7-year-old son, King Dylan. She's well acquainted with the media and has made appearances on features of Fox News, Univision, ABC, just to name a few. Dr. Maria, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely, absolutely. We're excited to have you in the building and to share some of your experiences. So what I want to do is ask you two very quick questions, okay? Now, in addition to you being the editorial manager of this publication, you're also a very successful businesswoman and a #1 best-selling author of this publication. Can you tell us about this project?
Absolutely. It was a book anthology as well, where I was a
Mhm.
part of, I think it was like 39 other authors. Absolutely amazing project. It was called Girl, Get Up and Win. So it was
Wow.
pretty much the same concept, just amazing things for people to talk about their lives, the things that they went through, how they overcame them, and really just to be another motivational force for a lot of women that might be going through the same thing. So it was absolutely amazing. I did not expect for my life to just kind of excel the way that it did. And so it's just been absolutely incredible to watch that entire journey. So men, I'm telling you, this is going to be phenomenal for you. I am certainly anticipating #1 bestseller for you guys. Very, very excited to be a part of this project. But anytime you have an opportunity to make someone else's life better, anytime you have an opportunity to add value to someone's life, it's never small. Even if you might think it is, everything is something that another person can take from it. And so we just want to make sure that we are always inspiring and empowering and motivating one another, because someone is going through the same. And an inspirational story is absolutely one of the #1 things that we can do to make someone else's life better. So yeah, very, very similar project. Share it, share it, share it, because someone needs to hear one of these amazing stories.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. So I want you to elaborate just a little deeper. What does this particular project, 30 men, courageous black men, what does it mean to you?
And so the very first time Dr. Berry made well, we were talking about it, she was giving me some ideas that she had. And when I heard the name of the book, that meant everything. I have a 7-year-old son. He is going to experience a lot of things that I probably won't even understand. It's just going to give so much insight. I think a lot about my grandfather who was passed on, but my grandparents raised me. So it just really made me really think, do we really know what is on the heart of a black man? Maybe there's, times where they may feel like, they don't receive enough respect. They don't receive enough support. I am that strong black woman who absolutely respects, loves, and values black men. And so for me to have a resource and be a part of a resource, and like you said, this is going down in history. Like, this is literally history. The very first men's anthology by this incredible publication. It is huge. Every single man that I have talked to about this book have just, like, the title alone, you're like, wow, this is a lot to unpack. We don't fully know exactly what's going on. We don't fully know how you feel when you walk out those doors every day. But there's so many ways for us to learn. And I know that this book is definitely going to do that. It's going to help us support more, love more, understand more, be better listeners. Like I say, my son, 7 years old, he will have a lot to learn. And I believe one of you, if not all of you, will be in a position to help mentor my son, because you come from all walks of life. You all have so much value to add. And I will definitely be using this resource to help me understand the men in my life.
Absolutely. Dr. Diana, thank you so much for sharing that. And what you've done, right? You have given us the honor, myself and along with the other 29 authors, you've given us the honor of being able to speak into your son's life. So for that, we're so appreciative. Thank you so much for your contribution to this magazine.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely. So listen, what we're going to do next, I'm going to read the foreword to you guys. Now, Councilman Mays, he could not be here, but I want you guys to listen to this foreword by Eric Mays. He is the councilman for the 1st Ward in the city of Flint, Michigan. He was elected as a Flint City Councilman in November of 2013, and he's in his 10th year. Prior to becoming a councilman, Mays worked for General Motors for 30 years and was a UAW elected official holding various appointed positions representing UAW workers on the union side. Now, we're going to bring up our next guest. This is an amazing young lady, and she's the creator of this phenomenal anthology, Dr. Talicia Berry. She's the editor-in-chief of the award-winning Courageous Women magazine and Courageous Men magazine and Authors Who Launch. She is the CEO of Strive Publishing. Welcome, Dr. Berry. Make sure you unmute, Dr. Berry.
Thank you so much. I
There we go.
appreciate you so much for being part of Courageous Men Magazine and being part of the heart of a Black man. Um,
Mhm.
your story is phenomenal. So thank you. Thank you for
Yes,
being our
ma'am.
host as well.
Absolutely. So listen, can you tell the audience? We would love to hear, where did Courageous Women magazine come from? Where, I mean, how was that birth out of you?
Whew, well, I was Courageous Woman magazine was actually a blog first, and it was me looking for motivation and inspiration, going through a troubled time in my life, and I needed that motivation. I couldn't find enough, and so I decided I was going to do the blog. And a couple years later, I had relocated back to my hometown for a while, and I had this energy. I felt like God was moving me to do something, and I got to do. I want to change the blog into a publication. And so I was in a restart of my life, and I'm like, I got to do this. And I had a friend who had a thriving publication in Detroit, and I asked him, what do I need to do? I need to, transform my blog into a magazine. And he said, you're gonna need some money. And so I didn't have any. Like I said, I was in a restart. And but I'm a grassroots person. I believe that all things are possible. You can start from the bottom and work your way up. And if God gives you a vision, He's gonna make provision for you. And so I just started. And I just said, you know what? Start where you I tell people all the time, start where you are, use what you have. So when he said I was gonna need some money, he said, exactly, you need to have a minimum of $30,000. And so I looked at my account and I was missing some zeros. So I decided I would go ahead and start and use the skills and background and people, resources that I had. And it was, I started and we distributed the first issue was 4,000 copies from that $30 that was in my account.
That's a lot.
Yes.
But you know what, you were able to flesh out that vision, and I mean, we're grateful for it. We're seeing the fruits of your labor from that. So listen, there's been some awesome celebrities that have graced the cover of your magazines. Individuals like Vanessa Bell Calloway, Wendy Raquel Robinson, Monique, the amazing Shirley Ralph, Vicky Winans, Jody Watley, Clarissa Shields, and many, many more. So I wanted to ask you, for this particular project, this anthology, on a deeper level, what does it mean to you?
Oh my gosh, it means everything to me. When we used to do Courageous Men of the Month in Courageous Woman magazine. And that was because men would always say, you don't have anything for men. And I said, one day we're going to do a men's magazine. And finally we did. In 2020, we launched the first issue of Courageous Men magazine. And it was during the time that George Floyd was murdered. And it was just a really delicate time. And so I wanted to know how the men felt and how they were doing. And they shared with me how they were doing in writing. And some of the responses just really pierced my soul. And so I said, I need to give them a platform so they can speak, so that we can hear their hearts for real. And that's, we were already doing anthologies for women. And I said, this one is going to be all men, because I want the world to hear them. I want the world to hear Black men, because I have some men in my family that I adore. I have uncles, I have dad, I have brothers, I have a son, so I wanted to make sure that we give a platform to men so they can really share. And that's where it came about.
Absolutely. Look, thank you so much for that. And guys, I'm going to mention this. These projects that Dr. Berry has released to the world, we're talking about over 300 men and women share their stories and become best-selling authors. So I want to say thank you so much to Dr. Maria. I want to say thank you so much to you, Dr. Berry. I'm going to give a special shout out to a young lady called Tisha Brene. Now, Tisha Brene is responsible for all the photos that were taken in this anthology. So we want to give her a special shout out. Now, guys, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to hear from some of these phenomenal men. All right, stay tuned for the second half of the show. Don't go anywhere. All right, welcome back to the Courageous Black Man, the heart of the black man. Now, we're going to bring up some of our phenomenal people that have written in this book. These black men are absolutely phenomenal, and you're about to hear just a little bit of their stories. We're going to bring Dr. Sims up on the show. Dr. Sims, are you there, sir?
Yes, I am.
Awesome, awesome. Listen, thank you so much for being here. I know the world is excited. We get to introduce the world of Dr. Sims. Now, I want to ask you just a quick question here. Tell us, what does this project mean to you, and why did you want to become involved in this first anthology?
Yeah, it means a whole lot to me. A few years ago, I toured with three gentlemen. And we toured around the United States to educate the young men of tomorrow. And when the actual tour stopped, we did it for about 15 years. And I was yearning to get back on the circuit where I could share my information to men again. So this was a great opportunity for me. I was just really excited because I missed actually sitting down and having conversation and actually sharing what I do for African-American men and young men.
Okay, that's awesome. So listen, I want to ask you a question. What is it that you want the readers to take from your specific chapter in the book?
Never to give up. Never to give up. Stick to itiveness. Whatever you're doing in life, it's going to be hard. And sometimes, in some, particular issues that you might have in life, and you may think about, hey, this is tough, and it's not going to happen. It's not going to work. I want to give up, and it's just all about not giving up. It's about, sticking in there and striving and stick to itiveness. At the end, it's always a brighter light. Yeah.
Wow, that's powerful. So this is my last question for you. I wanted to ask, and I'll be asking the other men this question too. What do you see today as the plight that black men have to face?
Well, we see it every day. Facing just us being looked upon as less than. And I think right now it's really, this is why this is really good. It's because, it's for us to motivate, and everything that we're going through. I think the great thing about us is saying, hey, look, don't believe what you're hearing out there about you, right? And we're here to tell you, we're here to show you that whatever they're saying is not true. You can be what people are saying you cannot be, right? And also, making us look like, as African-American males, that again, we're less than. And I think going through the things that we're going through, of course, racism, being pulled over, and being judged, I think it's just time, and that's why it's really important for this book for other people to read and to motivate them. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Dr. Sims, thank you so much for your contribution to this book. You bring up some things that we all are very familiar with. That's why, ladies and gentlemen, you're watching. You need to get this book, and you need to get it tonight. I mean, you really do, because what you're doing is you're buying a book that not only you can read, your children can read, and your children's children can read this book. So again, Dr. Sims, thank you so much for your contribution, sir.
You're so welcome.
Yes, sir. All right, so next we're going to bring up Mr. Willie Terrell. Mr. Terrell, we want you to join us here on the show. Okay. All right. So, Mr. Terrell, while we're waiting for him to come, we're going to bring up Charles. Charles, how are you, sir? Make sure you unmute your mic, sir.
Oh,
We'd love to hear
right.
your voice.
Okay, sorry about that. I'm great. How
No,
are you?
I am excellent. We're going to get right into it, sir. Why did you want to be a part of this historical making anthology?
Well, by profession, I'm a storyteller. I write plays, I run a theater, and the crux of every theater is to tell stories. Uh, so I thought I had, some very valuable lessons to convey, and this was a great opportunity to do so.
Yes, sir. And as you say, you storytellers, we all have a story to tell. In this book, there are 30 of them. That's why I'm excited to be a part of it. So I want to take you to this next question is, what is it that you want the readers to get out of reading your specific chapter in the book?
I want them to get, um, as the previous speaker said, I want them to embrace the idea of never giving up. Our history is based on the fact that we persevered, uh, the fact that we gained strength through the uh, trials and tribulations that we endured throughout our history in this country. And, it's easy to uh, give up, when you look at the scope and scale of all of that. Um, but we can always find strength in the fact that our ancestors endured and that they brought us to where we are now. So I just wanted to make sure that we embrace the concept of hope.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for your wisdom, Mr. Charles. Ladies and gentlemen, you just heard from Mr. Charles. Now, make sure you go out and get that book. I mean, you shouldn't even wait. Why don't you have someone in the family go and hit that link and go and get the book right now? Because we need you to hear these amazing stories. Mr. Charles, thank you so much for your contribution, sir.
Thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely. So, ladies and gentlemen, next we're going to bring up Mr. Bey. Mr. Bey, are you available to come up and give us a few minutes, sir?
So hello, how you doing?
Hey, sir, I'm doing well. Listen, I'm doing much better because you are here. How about that?
Well, I'm grateful. Thank you for having me.
Yes, sir. Hey, look, we're going to get right into it. We're cooking tonight, man. So listen, I want to know the listeners, the watchers. They want to know, why did you decide to be a part of this project? We want to hear from you.
Well, one of the things about me is I believe that I'm the voice for the voiceless, right? And in order to do that, you have to have that platform. You have to have a voice, because what's happened in my life, everybody can benefit, right? I served 29 years in prison, right? I've been home 5 years in March the 20th. And what I've been able to accomplish is based on two things. First of all, is God has always been with me through the process. And the second thing is that I've always understood adversity. When things don't look right, I get excited because I know that there's a lesson in it. And just sticking to that script has helped me to become the man I am. So when, things are, when you think about 29 years, man, and I'm in prison and no hope, 23-year-old boy, I came home at 52, had never seen the internet, don't know anything about nothing that's happening out here, right? And I'm like, hold on, I'm prepared for this moment. I'm prepared for this moment because of the fact that I've invested in myself through education, which I always tell people, that's what credentials look like. When you got your credentials in order, there's nothing impossible. And so I believe that hard work and understanding the assignment gets you to the finish line.
Wow. Okay, Mr. Allen Bey, let's back up just a little bit now. You skirted over this. So you're telling me, you're telling all the listeners, that after 29 years, you came out and you became a voice to the voiceless. Can you
Absolutely.
just elaborate on, because I mean, honestly, sir, looking at you, you look like $1 million. You look like you just on top of the world. And I want all of us to understand that that's why you got to get this book, because you're looking at some very powerful gentlemen that do not look like what they've been through. Can you speak to that, please?
Well, I don't think we have enough time. So you need to read the book. You need to buy this in order to get this here, because we don't have enough time to go through this here, because I knew day one that I needed to do two things: stay focused and create some energy that's contagious. And that contagious energy that I know is like, you got to be prepared for the moment, right? And being prepared for the moment, that means that, you know, you have to have that balance. You got to be prayed up. You got to be physically fit. You got to have your mind sound. You got to be able to understand that, hey, when things go bad, I've never said, why me? I'd be like, okay, I like this assignment. It's because I know that what's going to happen, right? I've seen the results of it, right? Man, listen, I've been able to do some things and get into spaces that I never dreamed of being in, but I knew I could be in them. And so I hold the position of executive director for the sheriff's office in Genesee County. Now, listen, I'm a convicted felon that holds that position, you know, and I've always been the first, right? And doing the first, I believe that creates a space for others to be in, right? Because if my face can get there, I believe I can bring you too. And so that's kind of like what my message is to be able to just motivate, inspire others, right, to embrace adversity and understand the process, right? Because if you do that, you'll see results. And I think all of our authors in here, that's one thing we got in common, right? That through what we went through, the results have been something positive. And so that's what we got to embrace. That's what we need to be able to convey that message to others. And so that's why I'm so honored that, you know, they chose me, a guy like me, to be able to sit with 29 other people and be able to, you know, share my story.
Wow, that's awesome. Look, I have my pen right here in front of me. So I wrote down, stay focused. Why me? And then you said you're in places you never dreamed of, but you knew that you were going to be there. Okay.
Absolutely.
So if you can take just maybe 1 minute, 1 or 2 minutes to explain that piece, so that the people watching can understand, you know, I never dreamed of it, but I knew I could be in it. That's it's not an oxymoron. It is extremely powerful. Can you elaborate on that? Take about 1 to 2 minutes.
Well, listen, when you talk about dream, that means you're sleeping, right? And so a lot of things go on, but the reality of knowing that who you are, right, and your purpose of being created, you know something. It's like it's something in you that when you go on through something, you know that if I could just live through the moment, I could be better. And I always tell people all the time, you'll never be greater later. So in that moment, you have to be able to embrace what's happening to you, right? And you have to be able to understand that, listen, I trust the process. And no matter how it looks through these eyes, I know without a doubt or contradiction, if I could just one moment at a time, then an hour, then a day, then I can accomplish it. And I believe that that's what we have to do. We have to learn to embrace that moment, slow down and hear that voice, right, within to be able to ignite us and be able to take us to the next phase. That's my concept of what I believe, and that's what it means.
Wow, that is powerful, Mr. Allen Bay. I want to say thank you so much. You know, on behalf of everybody that's watching, and on behalf of the other 29 authors in this book, I want to say thank you so much for your contribution, sir.
Thank you for having me. Thank you. Listen, go out and buy this book, y'all. I guarantee you, you will not regret any of the read in there. Please go out right now and purchase this book.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, sir. So listen, guys, this is I think what we've heard so far is from some phenomenal men, and you're listening to their stories. You're listening to why it is essential that you go right now to Amazon and you pick up this book. Now, I'm going to tell you, after you purchase the book, go ahead and click on that link that's going to be sent to your email. Open up that bad boy and start reading. You're going to start hearing and reading and say, oh my God. And see what it does, it expands all of our knowledge base. Simply because a book like this is the first of its kind, it's historical. And I'll tell you this, I'm excited because I'm actually also one of the authors in the book. And I am from a small town called Enfield, North Carolina. Right? I'm the youngest of 4. And I grew up watching my father, who was a corrections officer. I watched my mother every night iron my dad's uniform, crisp lines going down the sleeve. He would always dress up He always showed up. And I remember as a young man actually watching that, right? And how that transferred to me, growing up as a black man, he would always say, son, always do your best. Do the best job that you possibly can. And when I got out into the world and started working, I started realizing, like, wow, it kind of seems like I have to do more to get seen. And that was actually true. We have to do more. We grew up, and I'm sure I'm speaking on behalf of the other men here too, is that we grew up watching and hearing that as a black man, you have to be better. You've got to show up if nobody else does. You got to show up early to be on time, right? So, and I started walking in that, and I started realizing, you know what, man, I got to do better. And that's what I actually did, right? That is exactly what I actually did. So in my chapter, I talk about that. I talk about how some of the positions that I've been able to hold, sometimes I was in the room and I was the only black person there, and a male at that. So I had to show up, and I did. And I'm grateful. And now I get an opportunity to not only recognize my story and the contribution my father gave to me, but also what these other men are going to give to you on tonight, those that have already done so and those that are coming up. So next, I'm going to call up Mr. McPherson, Kwame McPherson. Are you here, sir?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Man, I hear you loud and clear. So listen, I know everybody's ready to hear from you. I want you to tell all of us, why did you decide to be a part of this project?
Because in terms of my own personal journey, one of the things that afflicted me years ago is having an experience with depression. So I begin by sharing the fact that I went through that experience, and I know other black men have gone through that experience, and the difficulty we have in enabling others to understand what that may feel like. So I begin by saying, anytime I start talking about my journey, I talk about other people who have had the similar journey. So it begins with a successful and prolific brother with more than a decade of a triumphant stay in Hollywood. Born in Montgomery, Alabama, he rose to fame in a reality dance show, becoming a judge on the same series later on. He was also a successful and skillful DJ for one of Hollywood's biggest and well-known show hosts. Multi-talented, he was also an actor appearing in both movies and TV shows. A well-loved family man, he was happily married with 3 wonderful children. And yet, with all of the successes, with all of this perfection, quote unquote, he was still troubled. His wife's words about him were, Stephen lit up every room he stepped into. He valued family, friends, and community above all else, and leading with love and light was everything to him. He was the backbone of our family, the best husband and father, and an inspiration to his fans. Rest in peace, Stephen Laurel Boss, aka Twitch. Born on September 29, 82, transition 13th, 2022. He was 40 years old. So even though he portrayed a black man of success, which he was still troubled that it is alleged that he took his own life. So yeah, I'm Kwame McPherson, and I have experienced depression. I'm an award-winning writer, ghostwriter, book mentor, and content creator. I enable other men to tell their story, because one of the things I found, like I said, is that we have a difficulty in doing so, and it empowers men to be all they can be in that regard, because so we tend to hide when we're in trouble or stressed, and that's the reason why I decided to be a part of the project.
Wow, that's deep. And this section we're talking about fitness, mental health, and wellness. And when we talk about mental health in black men, you bring up an interesting point. So you said that you dealt with depression. Can you elaborate just a little bit about what made you be willing to share that? Because most men, black men, they don't want to mention and even talk about being depressed. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, well, fortunately for me, I'm a writer, so I already write. But one of the things I realized prior to going into my experience, I was always writing. Whilst I was going through my experience, which was brought on by, there's a number of reasons why somebody can go into depression, which I'll go into. But when I was going through my fears, I found writing to be cathartic. It was a way of me to tell a story. But I didn't attempt to do anything about it whilst I was going through the experience, because I didn't know I was going through it. But afterwards, reflecting on my journey, reflecting on my life, reflecting on where I had been, I realized that there was a stage in my life where I was in a particular place. And like I said, as a writer, I said, you know what, this is an interesting subject to write about. Let me write about it. And that's basically how it happened. And the funny thing is that when I came out with a book back in, I had written the manuscript back in 2009, I think it was. Because the experience that I had was in 2006. I had lost the manuscript. But the fortunate thing was, in 2015, I had sent it to a friend of mine via Facebook at the time, and the USB that I had, the stick got corrupted, so I lost it. And it's only because I was looking at the messages that I had sent him on Facebook is how I found it. And then I realized that, hold on a minute, there must be a reason as to why I'm finding this manuscript in 2015. And then it came to me and said, you know what? Since it's already finished content, it's already finished, why not just publish it? And it's exactly what I did. So there was no intention of me having a message and I'm going to spread it. It so happened the way it happened. Unfortunately for me, in a sense, the message has gone far and wide in such a way that I did not know it would have, because exactly what you said, Dexter. Men have a difficulty in terms of expressing how we're feeling and what we're going through. So it does happen to be at that time, it's the right time. And in a sense, when we had the COVID years, I realized that many people would be going into a situation where they're going to have mental ill health. And my book more or less prepared me for that period of time. And it helped other people too to get through that period, because that was that entire shift of our lives really had an impact on people's mental health. So it was all by, I wouldn't say coincidence. It was written the way it was supposed to be written, and it came to the fore how it's supposed to come.
Wow, that's amazing. So listen, we get ready to transition into our next group of men, but I wanted to, can you close out with this? Give us a one minute synopsis. What would you like people to get out of reading your chapter in this book?
Well, I want people to get the fact that one, I want it to be a chapter of healing in terms of men in particular, to understand that we can heal. There are ways of healing. And one of the things I do, like I said, as a writer, I also have workshops. I also do book mentoring, enabling other men to write. And the thing I want people to get is that when a man is going through what he's going through, one of the difficulties he has is to speak to the person who's closest to him, which would be his partner. If a man can find someone of, let's say, who's of particular standing, quote unquote, somebody who's rounded, who's grounded, and can enable them through going through what they're going through, because we have that around us. It's just a matter of identifying who that is and having the space and the time in order to talk with them. So like I said, I try to create that through workshops that I do, and enabling men to be in a particular space. And the partner should encourage them to read this book, because it would help with healing. It would help to let other men know that men have gone through what they're going through. It helps the partners too to recognize that this book can help with healing, not only the partner that they have, but themselves and the relationship that they're both in. And it can get more wider in terms of family. So this particular book is so powerful, and I'm so glad that I'm a part of it.
Yes, sir.
Because of the messages that are within it from the brothers who are in it themselves, and being vulnerable. You know, that's the main thing. We're being vulnerable, and to show that we can be vulnerable, and for other men to realize that they can be in the space also and be successful.
Absolutely. Mr. McPherson, thank you so much on behalf of the Watchers and the other 29 men. Thank you so much for being a part of this book. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Deb. Thank you.
All right. So listen, we're going to transition now to the second part of a second group of men that's going to come up to share with you. They're going to talk about life, business, and entertainment. First, we're going to bring up Mr. Mel Davis. Mr. Davis, are you here, sir? Come on in the room. We'd love to hear from you. There he is. How you doing, sir?
Doing wonderful. Glad to be here. Thank you for the
Yes,
invite.
sir. Yes, sir. Awesome. So listen, I'm going to kick it off just like I've been asking all the other gentlemen. Why did you decide to be a part of this project?
I believe everything has happened for a reason, and I believe it being in purpose and knowing what your purpose is in life. God make ways for you to be in the right place at the right time. And I was growing up on faith and believing that faith without God is nothing impossible. So, you got to put him first and foremost. And that's what I do in my life, is just put God first. And he ordered my steps. So I'm not fearful where my journey takes me. I'm just ready to go and be prepared when I get there.
Yes, sir. Look, faith is literally a part of what we all do as we walk through this life, especially as Black men. So I want to ask you, tell us a little bit about your journey up until this point of writing the book. If you can take 1 to 2 minutes to elaborate on that, I'm sure all of us would love to hear it.
Well, first and foremost, my name is Melvin Davis. I'm from a little town like you may even know about. It's called Weldon, North Carolina. So I'm giving you a piece. What's up? Good to know there's another brother that's doing some phenomenal things. I'm a self-taught artist. I've been doing art for over 35 years. Understanding that world by itself is a challenge, with not knowing the understanding of the business side of that spectrum. And when you get involved in something that you have no direction on, you have to use your own knowledge and find your ways to become great in what it is that you do. But I knew what God had put in my heart to become that. I know there's other young kids that will want to understand that journey, will want to understand somebody can say, look, I got a platform. You can understand what is a limited edition, what is a lithograph. These things were never taught to me. I'm a self-taught, meaning that the gift that was inside of me, I birthed it. And it was frightening because you know what? It's a full time, and I made it a business, but it wasn't easy. But understanding if you work hard in something and you never give up, you understand what your purpose is, man, He do the rest. But and that's one of the things that I really enjoyed, looking at my vision through my business and working with great people and being involved in projects like this. It just tells me that I'm on the right path. And I'm so excited knowing that I'm in a project right now that, being, you want to be a trendsetter. That's what life is about, doing something that, like the gentleman said, sometimes we don't think we can be where we are, but you are where you're supposed to be. And this is where we're supposed to be. So my journey is to educate kids about art and giving them someone that they can look at that looks like me and say, you know what, if Mr. Mel Davis did it and he could eat from that plate and the wisdom that God gave him to be creative, then also I think I'm doing the right thing in the journey that I'm doing. So I appreciate it. I'm very humbled by it. And just thankful for the opportunity within itself to know that, hey, man, the sky's the limit. Wake up with purpose, believe in what you're doing, and put God first, and everything else will be added. That's how I live. That's my motto, and I stand by it.
Yes, sir. Look, what a nice way to tie the bow before we take a break. Absolutely amazing. Mr. Davis, we want to say thank you for your contribution to the book, sir. Thank you so much.
Be blessed.
Absolutely. So listen, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a quick 2-minute break. We want you to stretch, go grab some water, grab the link, and go get this book. All right? We're going to see you guys in just a few minutes. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Heart of the Black Man. I know you guys have been enjoying this. And listen, if you're watching, other people want to watch it too. So why don't you just go ahead and share this broadcast so that more people can see these powerful men that are sharing on tonight. So we're talking about life, business, and entertainment. So I'm about to bring up a gentleman by the name of Mr. Orlando Miller. Mr. Miller, are you here? We'd love to hear from you, sir. All right. Let's see here. All right, Mr. Barry. Okay, well, Mr. Barry, thank you so much, sir, for being a part of this amazing anthology and a part of this amazing project. We want to welcome you to tonight's broadcast. How are you?
I'm blessed. Yourself, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. I can hear you loud and clear.
Perfect.
All right. So, Mr. Barry, we want you to tell us. I've been asking this question all night, and it's just been ringing a bell because it's interesting. We're learning why the men want to be a part of this project. So, if you could tell the people that are watching, why did you decide to put your chapter in this book?
For me, I decided to put my chapter in the book just to kind of be a voice for any young person. You know, when you're younger, you're getting to know yourself as well as your faith, and it's, you know, everything is something we never done before. So, you know, kind of being a voice for getting young people, you know, prepared or confident in that voice that they hear that is their faith, to do something if they have a dream, or if they got something, you know, that they really want to do in this life, to be able to press forward and believe in themselves enough first before anyone else does to be able to do those things.
Yeah, that's awesome, Mr. Barry. So listen, and I'm going to go out on a limb here and say you're probably the youngest that's spoken tonight, I'm sure. So if you don't mind sharing with everybody, what's your age? I mean, why did you decide that people your age needed to hear your story? I'm curious about that, and I'm sure the listeners are also.
So I'm 32. I'm 90s baby all day. 91 to be exact. I started acting. So I'm a television actor and a R&B recording artist, and I started acting at the age of 12. From straight out of Flint, Michigan. I got involved in like some Nickelodeon contests in which I did not win, but those contests started a career for me. My family believed in me enough to move across the country to California, and we've been here ever since. 2003 is when it all began. So that is where a lot of my faith began, to even be able to, you know, it's one of my biggest stories. I have a lot of stories in faith, but one of the biggest stories that showed me what my faith could do, like how big it could change my life, was that's the one.
Yeah, that's awesome. You know, and I know that our viewers are looking at you, and they've been watching the men that have come up thus far, and they're saying, okay, now we have one of the contributing authors that's actually a 90s baby. So I'm going to say to you, thank you so much for being a part of the project. I mean, it's books like this. Dr. Barry came up with an anthology like this to give a voice, right? Like one of the gentlemen mentioned, to give a voice to the voiceless, the 90s babies. Here's a representation of you right now. So let me ask you this before we let you go. What do you want people to get from your chapter in the book?
What I want people to get from my chapter is, like I said, just to be able to understand that voice in you and believe in it, follow that voice, as well as trust in God that, you know, whatever it is that you want, whatever God placed in your heart is real. Don't doubt yourself, no matter how big that vision may be. It might scare you sometimes, but you will be amazed at what, you know, where your life ends up when you take that path of faith in your life versus doing everything so practical and walking by sight and not by faith. But yeah, that's the most I want. You know, I want people to get from my chapter and my story.
Yeah, Mr. Barry, thank you so much for blessing us tonight. And again, sir, thank you so much for your contribution to the book. All right.
Thank you for having me.
Amazing. Absolutely, sir. So listen, we're going to keep right on rocking here with another amazing Black man that has a contributing space in this book. Mr. Muhammad, how are you, sir?
I'm wonderful, having a blessed day. It's Independent Bookstore Day, and I'm on this broadcast and talk about what? Books. Independent author.
Yes, sir. I love it. I love it. I love it. And thank you so much for bringing that energy. We really appreciate it. I know that our viewers are like, okay, I need to hear from this guy. All right. So Mr. Muhammad, let me ask you, sir. I mean, why now? Why this book? I mean, let us know what's happening.
Man, everybody is unique. Everybody got a story. Malik Muhammad has a story. And this was an opportunity for me to tell my story, to reveal things that no one knew about myself, to be vulnerable, and to open up and share to the world, you know, my devastation to elevation, which is the name of my chapter, because it don't matter how you start, it all matters how you end. We all dealt with a deck of cards, but it's how you play them cards, because you can win in this country. You can win, and I don't care what your situation is. Like I said, I named it that because, hey, I came out of the obstacles that every one of us came from, and I'm doing amazing. I have a family. I got people that love me. And yet I went through the same thing everybody else did. I lacked knowledge of self. I had issues in the home. You know, I grew up in a community with crime and drugs and all kind of things. But at the same time, the obstacle, that was just obstacles. We can win regardless. We're not living in a time when we should have these excuses. And so this was an opportunity for me to write my story, tell my story, share it with the world. And I'm excited about it. From devastation to elevation.
Okay. Now I'm gonna tell you, you got me ready to go, just get out the chair and go in the other room and buy the book again, right? Because I bought it the other night, right? But I'm like, oh my God. And see, I know the viewers are like, okay, all right, he need to hurry up because I'm ready to buy this book.
Get that book. You need to make us a bestseller. We need everybody. I've been pumping it up on social media, emailing, telling everybody, because this is an opportunity for us in unity to do something great together. And unity is important for our elevation. And so when Talisha came to me and said, hey, I want you to be a part of this journey, the heart of a Black man.
Yes, sir.
I need you to open up and share your story in this anthology. I was excited because people ask me all the time. They say, oh, are you an author also? I said, nah, I've written some things down, but I have never completed it. This time I completed it. Malik's book is published with 29 other authors. Hey, I'm excited. The heart of a Black man.
I love it. So look, you know, in movies, they drop an Easter egg to let you know what's coming up for the next one. So I want you to take 1 minute, just 1 minute. You talk about, was it devastation to elevation? Now, don't tell your chapter, but give us an Easter egg. Give the viewers an Easter egg of why they need to go buy this book. Give us one little piece of that.
I will say the Easter egg, my brother, just one, because I got many in there. Is that, you know, I address the many incidents, and that's not all of them, but just a few, such as being 10 years old and standing under a tree, and I heard this sound. You know, I didn't have time to look left. I didn't have time to look right. I didn't have time to look down. But the Spirit told me to look up. And I looked up, and a branch was about to fall on me at 10 years old. And I jumped out of the way in a split second and avoided that injury or possibly death. So that's you know, a nugget. I got many other nuggets. Now I don't elaborate, but you know, when I wrote my anthology, Talisha said, Malik, you need to turn this into a whole book. Listen, I know that I'm blessed, and I know that there's mercy, because there are many incidents where I avoided injury and death. And so I share that in my chapter because, hey, I'm no different than anyone else, but I was able to navigate over these obstacles in my way through the mercy and grace of God and be able to share my story, open up a bookstore, and give voice to the voiceless.
Mr. Muhammad, 5 words. Viewers, go and buy this book. That's it. That's all I got to say.
Gotta get the book. You gotta get the book.
All right. Mr. Muhammad, sir, thank you so much for your contribution.
Thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, let's keep on going. We're going to bring up Mr. Gilliard. Mr. Gilliard, are you here, sir?
I am here. Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear. First of all, thank you so much for
Oh,
being
it's
a
my
part
pleasure.
of this book. We want you to tell the viewers, why in the world would you say yes to Dr. Berry to be a part of this project?
Well, Dr. Berry is she's very persuasive. But it is in my lane. I've had a outlet on social media called Twice Married Brother for years, because I feel compelled to share my story with other men, especially marriage-minded men who are looking for their queen, to let them know what not to do, because I've made so many mistakes, but I've learned from those mistakes, and I'm in a very, very good marriage right now. So it's called Twice Married Brother. And so I've been opining on that on Facebook and Instagram now for about 10 years. So when Dr. Berry came to me and said, I wanted you to be a part of this, she was able to pull me in, and I'm glad that I'm still hanging in there with it. I'm looking forward to the result and can't wait to get the book.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Look, thank you so much for that. So listen, what is the inspiration behind your chapter? If you can just give us a little bit, because I know you're going to give us something, and the viewers are going to want to go buy it right now, but give them a little bit for what they're looking forward to.
Well, my purpose, well, let me just go this way with it. My theme and how I come at this whole thing with brothers and men has to do with purpose driven, knowing what our purpose is as men, so that we can be the best leaders, the best husbands to our wives. And then point two, accountability. So my chapter deals a lot with accountability for men, because I say that men have what I call the accountability gene. And so that's what kind of gives us the ability to lead the way we do. It doesn't mean that women don't have accountability. Of course they do. But I think that we should be even more, there's a higher standard in this area than I believe that women have. And so I deal with that. That's kind of what my chapter deals with. In fact, I started off with this. No, I can't talk about that because you don't want me to go into my chapter, so I'll stop.
Well, look, you had me going, and I know the viewers were interested in it.
Yeah,
also.
yeah. It's look, I've been married 3 times. This is my 3rd marriage, and for a total of 35 years between the 3. My current marriage is almost 9 years. Before that was 11, and before that was 14. So I just want to help men be better, and kind of get them away from the minefield of this dating thing. Men are today, we're very, very scared of commitment now. It's tough out there, and brothers don't want to dive in because they're scared of what might happen to them. They lose their money, or they'll go through some kind of crazy thing that they won't be able to recover from. And I've always believed also that men who go through divorce, we take it very tough. It's like we don't often recover, or it takes a longer time for us to recover. And I think that's the thing that a lot of ladies don't really understand. And so I want to help that process for men, either men who have not been married, to help them make that choice in a way that is more informed for them, and not be swayed by things that could get them in trouble later.
Wow. And that's why, I'm really now even more excited about reading the other 29 chapters of this book, because of simply what you just shared. So, Mr. Gilliard, I want to say thank you so much for your contribution to the book, sir.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you. All right. So next, we're going to bring up Coach King. Coach King, why don't you come on up, sir? It's time for the viewers to hear from you. How are you?
I'm exceptional. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. I can.
Well, I want to thank you. You're doing a magnificent job, man. It's incredible. It's like you've been doing this forever.
Well, I appreciate that. Now I don't look as good as you. I don't have the bow tie and everything, but
Hey.
I'm doing my best. All right. So look, Coach, thank you for your time coming on. So listen, can you tell the viewers, Dr. Berry reached out to you, or you saw the publication and you said, what, I want to participate. Why did you say you wanted to participate?
Great question. I think that I'm tired of hearing people speak for the Black man. We are smart. We are articulate. We can read. We can speak for ourselves. And I think that in so many instances, because of people only focus on the absence of the Black man, that anybody can tell our story. And I think that it's about time that we tell our own stories. I am over a organization of men called Black Men Matters, where we pulled 800 Black men all in one space at one time, just to show that we are unified. For some reason, people have it in their mind that Black men can't get together and do anything positive. They can't do anything that would cause some type of influence. I often teach that one of the most dangerous things in the world is Black men in a huddle. Because if we find out that we're chosen, if we find out that we're powerful, that is a threat to the world as we know it. So at the point that Dr. Berry reached out to me and let me know that what she was doing, and I'm so busy like all the other brothers, I had to make it a point because I didn't want to miss out. I didn't want to miss on this opportunity. I believe it's historic. I believe that this is just the beginning of more to come. And I'm sure everybody's going to want to be involved after this point. That was a long answer to your question, to your short question, but that's the reason that I wanted to be involved.
Okay, that's awesome. And so I heard you mention, you said you bring together 800,
Yeah,
800 men.
Yeah, I put a call out to get 500 Black men together in black suits, white shirts, and a black tie, just as an exhibition of unity. And 800 men showed up, and that was a few years ago. And we're going to do it again on the 17th of June in Pasadena, California. And we're calling for 1,000 men, just to get brothers together and let each other know that we're here, we got each other, and we can do great things if we come together.
Wow, that's amazing, and it's exciting too. So I know the other gentlemen that are watching, and for all of our viewers, they're thinking, "Wow, that sounds amazing," especially the Black men that are watching. So I want to ask you this, Coach. So the takeaway, what is it that you want the readers to take away from your specific chapter?
That you could be the father that stayed. You could be the one that helps with the homework. You could be the one that was always present, and your life could still take a turn. Your children's life could still take a turn. I thought that it was important. My chapter is if you do life, I do life. And I'm a father of sons who have life sentences in prison. And I still have to be their dad. And I still don't want to turn my back. I still want them to be inspired that one day they will come home. One day they will be free, and just to know that I had their back the whole time. I know we're not really talking about our chapters, but I think it's important to know that a lot of parents, when their children turn to the left, they automatically take responsibility. They take the blame for it and think that they failed. No, this is just a part of what it is that God chose that we should deal with. And so I love to let people know that I have 2 daughters with master's degrees and I have 2 sons in prison. And I love them all just the same. And I'm just as proud of, because you have to remember that negative attention is attention too. And some people will do negative things because then, Dad, I have your undivided attention. And so I just want my sons to know, and my daughters, and everybody else who's parenting, every other father who's parenting, that don't give up, man. Just keep it going, because you're the first superhero that your kids should ever meet.
Wow, that's just, so inspiring to hear you say that. So inspiring to hear how you talk about the fact that parents blame themselves when their kids may take a direction. Right. And that's not always the case. Just something we need to learn from. Yeah. Coach, I want to thank you so much for your contribution to this book. I know that the viewers are excited. Ladies and gentlemen, go and get the book. I mean, it's no need to wait. You heard from amazing. I mean, listen to what Coach shared. So Coach, can you share really quickly again? Sure. Are you saying the event coming up in California, that is in June? Was it June, you said?
June 17th. Yeah, we calling 1,000 Black men together just for unity, that we can learn from each other, grow from each other. Are you in California, Dexter, or where are you?
No, sir. I'm on the opposite side. I'm in North Carolina.
Man, we got to figure it out, because you seem to be I'd love to get you to host what it is, a portion of what it is that we're doing. So we'll make sure to connect. The pleasure is all mine, man. God bless you, and thank you for your contribution and everything that you're putting in to make sure that this project is a success. I also want to give a shout out to Diana and to Dr. to Talisha, just for the fact that they had the wherewithal to put this thing together. That is amazing. That is amazing. And so I'm glad to be a part of it. Sorry about my background. I'm in the car, but it was important that I participate. So love you guys. See you in a bit.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. And again, thank you for your contribution. And you talked up these phenomenal ladies, Dr. Berry and Dr. Maria. Thank you all so much for your contribution in putting this together. I'd like to, turn the floor over to one of you ladies to share. I mean, what have you gotten out of hearing from these men on tonight? And you know what, let's include Thursday also, because we had a very powerful panel of contributing authors that spoke on Thursday, and these gentlemen that spoke tonight. What's been your just your feeling of what they was able to share? We'll go with Dr. Berry first.
I am, definitely elated just hearing their stories. I think we have someone else that's here to share their story. I am just overjoyed and full to hear the hearts of these men. And I think it's important that we have given this platform to them. I mean, our platform has been predominantly women. So I am so honored to have this opportunity to share with you all some amazing, courageous men. And I look forward to working with them further and sharing their full stories. They have some phenomenal stories. We have some other projects coming up with these men. So I'm super, super excited. And I'm just overjoyed of the completion of the book, and just want everybody to go out and get it. We're rising up the bestseller list today. So support us and go out and grab the book. Go on Amazon right now and grab your copy. I appreciate you all for just tuning in and just being a part of this. I know there's some amazing stories in this book.
That's awesome, Dr. Berry. And I'll say this, guys, ladies and gentlemen, our viewers, you're watching. What we want you to do is to go and get the book. Go ahead and contact somebody and say, hey, you need to get this book. If you know anybody that has a young Black man that they are raising, they need this book. So go ahead and call them, text them, share the broadcast, let them know to go and get the book, download it, and start reading it. I am tremendously excited to read these stories, and listening to the men on this evening and on Thursday night. I am just elated. I know it's powerful. And Dr. Berry, again, thank you so much, because this is a historical anthology. So thank you. Dr. Maria, when I got the inbox from Dr. Maria and she said, hey, we've got this awesome opportunity, and I started reading, I was like, yeah, I need to take advantage of this, because it is an opportunity. So the 29 other gentlemen, this is an opportunity for us to get our voices out to the world. So Dr. Maria, what's been your idea? What's been your thoughts of this incredible project?
I wish I did not have to speak, because I am literally holding back tears, and I know it's going to all flow. I'm going to have Dr. Berry crying in a minute. Somebody else is going to cry here. As I mentioned, I have a 7-year-old son, and when she told me the title, it was, like I say, immediately very, very powerful. And I said, my goodness, I'm like, there are a lot of things that my son is more than likely going to be faced with, just for the color of his skin. Maybe it's going to be them assuming he's a particular way, being judged just because of the way society has painted Black men. I'll say especially in this country, it's just extremely important that we know how to kind of open our hearts and our minds to things that Black men might be facing, right? We don't always know. We assume a lot. And like it was before, that many times men in general are always kind of holding everything in, not necessarily unpacking their emotions. And I can even see a little bit of that of my son. Sometimes he is very verbal, and he'll tell you certain things, and then sometimes he'll stop and he'll just kind of be like, I don't want to talk about it. I mean, even at 7 years old. And so just hearing so many stories that I can help him identify with, that I can try to understand for myself as his mother as he continues to get older. It's just going to be extremely important for me to be that sounding board that he can have, be that support system, making sure that I'm understanding just on a whole nother level, maybe some things that I wouldn't have known or even thought could be an issue. I now have insight. This book is going to give so much education, especially the women, like for the men as well, but especially for the women who have Black men in your lives. We have to approach things differently. Society does have this picture of what the Black man is, right? And it's completely not true. So being able to be a part of something that for sure is going to be a part of history, but like I said, I really, really mean it when I say that there will be a resource. Once you write a book, this is now a resource that is not going anywhere. And we can always be able to pull out that resource and just get some insight from some incredible men who are doing some powerful and amazing things, and they're still amazing, right? So the past, everything that you've gone through, you learn from it, you come better, you come smarter, you come wiser. Those are just some of the major things that stood out to me when I just learned of the title, just learning the title, and then listening to the men and reading so many of the amazing stories. I have learned a lot. And I have not even gone through, not even half of the stories. And so the interviews have been extremely powerful. I'm very grateful for the vulnerability. That's hard. It feels good because I know that the reason the men are being vulnerable is because they feel they are in a safe space to do so. So that's extremely powerful. But I don't want to take up too much time. I will certainly pass it back to you, Dexter.
Absolutely. And, you know, I see a question here, and I'll put this out before you and Dr. Berry. What age would be appropriate to give this book to a kid? What do you
Dr.
think,
Berry?
Dr. Maria? Yeah.
I think about 13 years old. About 13 years old. Yeah. My son is 7.
That's good.
I'll certainly tell him certain things, but I just need him to get a little bit older. And I think that preteen is certainly a really, really good point to start sharing a little bit more. They'll probably at that time have some real faces of what society is saying and doing. I try not to tell my son too much, but when he does bring me situations and we are exposed to situations, then I'm very honest with him. And so I know he still has a little bit of growing to do, a little maturing to do. And as he goes through that, I have insight to be able to share more and help him understand that he's not wrong for what he thought. He's not wrong for what he's thinking. He's probably right on point.
Wow. Wow, that's powerful. Thank you so much for that, Dr. Maria. And I'll tell you, as your emotions are validated, because simply put, I have my wife and I, we have a 15-year-old upstairs, and I think about him. We talk to him. We tell him certain things to consider when he's out in public and not with us. So that's why this book is so powerful, because you're hearing from men of all ages, and they're sharing what has happened to them in certain portions of life, and it just feeds into why this is a historical moment. So thank you so much for that vulnerability, Dr. Maria. We really appreciate it. So what I'm going to do is turn it over to our illustrious, amazing Dr. Berry, the visionary of this project. Dr. Berry, the floor is yours. If you could unmute Dr. Berry. Okay, she might be having some technical difficulties. She'll be back in just a moment. While you were talking, Dr. Maria, this quote came to my mind, and I actually pulled it up. It's by Dr. Martin Luther King. He said, "If you can't fly, then run. If you can't run, then walk. If you can't walk, then crawl. But whatever you do, you have to keep moving forward." And I think this book is indicative of that quote. All of us that are represented, the 30 men in this anthology, we are still moving forward despite the things and the challenges that we've been through. So when you were talking, I thought of that quote, so I pulled it up on my phone.
Nice. It's true. I'm the queen of never give up. So yes, absolutely.
Yes, ma'am. So the goal, ladies and gentlemen, while we wait on Dr. Berry to come back, is the goal is to get this book to #1, period, because it deserves it. Simply because, again, it's the first of its kind. It's an anthology of men. You're hearing from men from all walks of life. That's why it's so valuable. So I can, this is like a chicken soup for the soul for Black men. So that's how powerful it is. So there is Dr. Berry. All right, Dr. Berry, the floor is yours.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm having some technical difficulties over here, so I'm frozen. My buttons were frozen. I just want to say thank you. Thank you to all of you who have participated in this project. I am so overwhelmed, so overjoyed, and just listening to the story, reading the stories, and then listening to the men speak about their lives and their experiences in sharing in this book. It's been amazing. I'm so full and just, I'm just elated that we are here today. And because this project came to life, it's one thing when you have an idea and you talk about it, like, Dr. Diana and I were talking about it. I shared with her the idea, what was on my heart. And then we began to, put it in action, and then seeing the men share their stories and seeing their enthusiasm, seeing their emotion. It is a joy to see it come together and for the purpose and the good of what we're doing here. And I'm just so full. And, we talked about, you asked about what age, and she said, right, about preteen. My son's story, Kendra's story, he's talking about his faith and how he started in the entertainment business at 12. So I would say for sure, people who are looking for motivation and inspiration for young people, that definitely 12 years old would be a good age to start and sharing these stories, these amazing 30 men stories. So I'm just overjoyed with that.
Yes, ma'am. So listen, ladies and gentlemen, I think this has been a great evening, and I do believe that we have done what we were supposed to do, and that is to come here to shed the light on why this project is so phenomenal. So again, we want you to go and click on the link. The links that have been floating around everywhere, I think Dr. Berry shared it on the broadcast. Get that link and click on it and go get this book. And you know what? We want you to get it tonight. There's no other time like the present, right? We want you to go and get it and get that book. And when your children, your young man becomes of the age of 13, give him that book. Start sharing some of those stories like Dr. Maria is starting to do with her son, because there are experiences that we all have, and we need this book. So listen, on behalf of myself, I want to make sure I don't have any other words, Dr. Berry or Dr. Maria, before I close it out. I want to give you guys.
I was just gonna say, just us as moms, Dr. Diana and I both single moms, and I know a lot of women who are single moms, and sometimes we're looking for answers or help for our young men or our children. And so I know and I appreciate each and every single story here in this book, The Heart of a Black Man. The contributions were just phenomenal, and I just know that someone is going to be blessed by the stories. That is why we started Courageous Woman and Courageous Men, because of the people who have stories that help resonate with someone else's story and inspired someone else. So yes, definitely go and grab this book. It is such a valuable book. It is so dear to my heart and so many people. So thank you. Thank you all again for tuning in. Thank you for watching. And thank you if you already bought the book. Thank you.